Okay, we are live.
All right. Thanks, Lori. So welcome, everybody. This is episode 4 of Stall Talk. I'm Kendra Dixon. I live in Aubrey, Texas, and I'm on a mission to speak up for the horses and to make the horse world a better place. As you'll see there, my amazing co-host and moderator of our Zoom today, Lori Roth. She's in Nacogdoches, Texas. I'm 4 hours north, up by Dallas, Texas. We're in a little horse community called Aubrey. And we're really excited about what's happening at Stall High. And you may have heard of Stall High. You may be new to the word Stall High. It was something my dad used to say about leaving a horse in a stall for too long because they would get stall high. They would get too fresh and they would act 10 feet tall and bulletproof, not their norm. Well, Stall High as a brand wants to help everybody consider, where are we stalled? Where are we exhibiting behaviors that are out of our norm, that are not normal characteristics for us? What is holding you back? What's holding your horse back? And so I'm really excited about our discussion. We love to talk about the mental health of the horse because at Stall High, we believe that mental health is just as valuable as physical conditioning, if not more so, because sometimes it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to heal a physical wound compared to the long-term damage that can be caused from an emotional injury. So today's guest, I'm really excited. We have several guests today, but I'm really excited about our guest trainer today. So who do we have with us so far? I can see Bailey and iPhone. Your audio's off, Lori.
We have Bailey and then an iPhone. I'm not sure who that is. So
I bet it's Devin. Nope, not Devin yet. Okay, so we have Bailey and who else is with this, guys? Here comes Emily. Not everybody comes into a Zoom with their name present, so it's all good. So Lori, if you'll just be on the lookout for Devin when he gets here. I'm excited to hear about his new association and what he's doing for youth scholarships. So at Stall High, I was mentioning mental health for horses. What I didn't know, quite frankly, what I didn't consider when I was growing up was how much of an impact our physical bodies have on our horses' mental health. And I think that is grossly overlooked in the horse industry. There's so many great products out there. There's great education. There are amazing services to keep our horses physically fit, physically healthy. But what do you do when your horse has a clean bill of health and still doesn't do or perform in a way that you're expecting? So what happens when you feel like you're just oil and water and you're not in stride with your horse? What happens when your horse starts to exhibit these severe behavior problems when they've vetted clean? Those are the people, if you hear right now, if you're watching on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, if that describes your horse, we want to help you at Stall High. So we have an online app. It's for horse people. There's a free aspect to it, but we really want to reach out to the riders who want help every day. So if you want someone to help you through this process and start to discover the root issues of the behavior problems, more times than not, there is a mental cause. There's been some kind of emotional injury. It could have stemmed, this is a great discussion every week, did it stem from physical pain in your horse and then it caused a bad taste in their mouth or memory? Or was it an emotional injury first that caused them to misuse their body and thus get injured? So which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? That's what we want to know at Stall High. So every day at Stall High, we're in constant pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. We want to know, how can we, as horse owners and riders who genuinely love and respect our horses, how can we take responsibility to steward that relationship well? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, Lori. Are you ready? And we're going to just hop right into some video reviews.
Yes. And
it's here.
Devin is on his way in. He just asked for the link, so I sent him the link.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. So today is brought to us by the Lagniappe Bit. We're going to talk to Devin about what horses he likes best in the Lagniappe Bit. We're going to do some review my rides today. We're going to go over some analysis. We've got some new guests here, and we've also got some of our members from Stall High. So before I share my screen, let's go ahead and say hello to Devin when he gets here. We'll give him just a second. Hold tight. And I know a lot of people are probably going to want to know, like, what is the deal with the Lagniappe Bit? So this bit, guys, I've had it for years. It's one of my own designs. And when we started selling it online, I never dreamed it would be that popular. I never dreamed it would be so high in demand. It actually sold out of inventory the first 8 days that we offered it online. So things just skyrocketed for the Lagniappe Bit. And what I love is that it's making a difference. It's making a difference in horses, you know, how horses respond. Therefore, it's making a difference in the arena and outside of the arena. And I love getting reports on a weekly basis. Somebody reaches out to me, not that we're reaching out. We love reviews, but it's awesome how people actually go out of their way to let us know what's happening with Lagniappe Bit and how their horse is responding. And Devin is one of those riders. He's still on his way in. So we're waiting patiently. It's all good. It's all good. So I'm excited about the weeks to come, because as we learn more about the mind and the muscles connected, some of our future guests, we have one lady who's a friend of ours, and she has a background in neuroscience. We're also becoming friends and building a relationship with a gentleman who has done extensive work. So 35 plus years studying human health, products that we need to be healthy that can help us recover from injuries and prevent injuries and illness as well. And I know, guys, sometimes it's so much easier to do for our horse than we do for ourselves. So who else can relate to that? Jen, Emily, Bailey, let's go ahead and start using our time together while we're waiting on Devin today. Bailey, what do you think? Is it easier to provide for your horse before you do for yourself? She's at a spot. And Lori, I'm not sure if I'm highlighted as the screen or not.
It's definitely easier for me to do for my horses than me.
Why is that?
Because I always put them first.
I wonder why we do that, Emily. Like,
Because
you and I aren't the only ones.
no, they can't take care of themselves. So for me, I've always been taught since I was a little girl, they got fed and watered before I got to rest.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's a certain level of pride and fulfillment.
Yes.
When our horses look good. We take that as like a personal accolade. Like we want our horses to look good. We crave that connection with them. We want a good relationship. We want horses to be happy to see us and to, you know, just kind of have that Disney-like dream relationship with them. But in reality, that doesn't always happen.
Right. My favorite sound in the world is the noise that they make when they see me in the morning. I call it the little woof, woof, woof sound. So when they, you know, I cannot imitate it, but you know that sound when they hear you and they see you.
Yeah, the little muffled good morning.
Yes, that is my favorite sound in the whole world.
Yes, I love it too. Jen, what do you think? Why is it easier to do for our horses before we invest in ourselves?
For me, it's just always been drilled in. You have animals, they just come first. That's just was the rule at our place. Like, they always come first. You feed them, you eat later. That's just, it was just always been drilled into us. You have animals, that's your responsibility, because nobody else is going to look after them other than you.
So was it difficult for you to invest in yourself to get answers? Was it difficult to invest in a mentorship program? How did you justify that?
Yeah, it was tough. Like, I don't really know. Like, it just, yeah, like, I never put myself first. If anybody that's a mom or any, like, horses come first, job, family, you're always on the back burner, always. You feel kind of guilty if you ask for something for yourself.
That's right. Now that you're in and you can experience the difference, do you think it's been a benefit? Do you think your horse?
Yes. I should have did this months and months ago, and I shouldn't have felt so darn guilty. This is for me. My one thing is this is for me.
Well, I had so many people reach out this week. Over the weekend, I made a little organic TikTok, and it got so much traction. I mean, the texts were just rolling in, and I couldn't get anything else done. I was just answering as fast as I could and replying. Everybody described these problems and these behaviors with their horses that just break my heart, because I can see it. I can visualize what's happening. I have been there time and time and time again. I was very fortunate to be raised into a horse family. So I grew up on a 1,500-acre ranch. My dad was a horse trainer. That's how he literally paid the bills. And so it's all I've ever known. But to hear people describe their problems, and some of them are already like over the cliff, like potentially already irreparable damage has been done, and there's going to be a lot of deep regret when they wake up and realize that in 6 years or 16 years, depending on their personal journey. And then some are on the brink of just about to crack. I can hear it when I talk to them. And more times than not, Jennifer, people are saying they view it as an expense. They view it as not an investment, not a benefit. So I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't repeat my mistakes. Please don't ruin as many horses as I did. Please, seek wisdom, whether it's from us or somebody else. But when you learn more, what does Shelley say? When we know better, we can do better. And I truly agree with that. So Jen, thanks for sharing about that. All right, Devin, you made it. We've been waiting on you. How's your day?
It's good and busy.
All right, well, that's a good thing. So this is our first time to talk on camera. So we've never met in person. We met on TikTok. We messaged back and forth. You said, hey, tell me about your bit, and tell us a little bit about your history first as a trainer and what part of the country you're in. Did we just lose him, Lori? We waited all this time for Devin and we just lost connection.
I think so.
Okay. He'll be back, guys. So our guest trainer today is Devin Warren. He's from California. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the space for a minute. And he started a new barrel racing association. So I'm excited to hear his story. I want to know his vision for this association and how he's going to do things different. What are the problems he sees that he can solve in the industry? Here he comes right here. So if you are watching, whether it be TikTok, okay, or YouTube, Facebook, if you have questions, just email us, info@stallhigh.com. We're happy to help you with your horse, and we're happy to answer any questions about Stall Talk every Tuesday. Devin, you're back. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Somebody called and I tried to answer, but
so tell us what part of the country, a little bit about your horse training background, and then I want to hear about your vision for the new association.
Okay. I am in Porterville, California, which is pretty much smack dab in the Central Valley of California, about 2 hours from anywhere you can be to the mountains or the beach. Super cool location in between all the major cities as well.
Mhm.
So a little bit about my back history is I showed cutting horses and trained with cutting horse trainers and cow horse trainers. And then I went off on my own. And when we went off on our own, we did really well in the cutting horses until about the droughts hit. Once the drought hit, we ended up having to restructure a whole training program to make it work into a system that would keep us in business and not end up like all the other trainers that ended up going out of the state.
Mhm.
So walked over to doing mostly barrel horses nowadays.
Okay, so you didn't start out thinking, I'm going to be a champion barrel trainer.
No, not at all.
Okay,
It
so
started-
this was pivot.
We would get problem horses, like horses that would buck people off, wouldn't go in the arenas. Any issues like that is what the horses I started with. I never ended up with anything good until past couple of years. I've been getting really good ones. And so it changed the whole game, you know, and then I started putting races on about 10 years ago because my facility sat empty besides just working horses that I trained on the daily.
Mhm.
So,
So what were some of the problems that you could see as coming from the cow horse industry, looking at the barrel racing game? Okay. What were problems that you could see from the outside before you actually stepped into it?
a lot of the problems were people would think their horses were broke, and they actually weren't broke. They were patterned, a good pattern on the barrel pattern, but when you actually just rode them and made them do other things, they really couldn't hold themselves together, which is, I think, a big reason why a lot of barrel horses I've seen have a lot of lameness injuries because they don't know how to frame themselves up and carry themselves.
Thank you.
That was the biggest issues that I've noticed. The second one would be the riders getting more anxiety. So the gait issues would be caused from the anxiety of the rider being either nervous or just not confident in themselves. So that's been the huge thing of all the gait issue horses I've repaired over the years.
hmm I
And
love how you said,
them.
I love how you pointed out just lack of awareness of their frame, of a horse's frame. And there are so many injuries that could be prevented. You cannot prevent every accident and you cannot prevent every injury, right? You can't predict nor prevent all of them, but you can prevent a lot of them
Yeah. Well, it's like
with
what
knowledge and experience.
with the barrel racing portion that I've learned over the years, and more, I'm kind of a very big stickler on ground being a huge thing that I struggle with. I'm 6'4", so I'm not a little person to be running barrels. So my horses require a little bit more ground to stay snappy and quick around turns, or they just kind of slip and slide. What I've learned is with those horses that know how to frame themselves up, they're able to hold the ground, even if it's not to their liking, and still be able to be fast and prevent injuries because their bodies are actually built to hold themselves as it is. So that's been a huge program.
So good. This is going to be fun. So tell us a little bit about what you saw as far as races in your area, why youth scholarships, like where was your heart for building a new association?
So there's quite a few associations in California. There was a bunch that kind of went out of business during the whole COVID thing. There's a few that stayed strong. I'm one of the only arenas that ran during the whole COVID pandemic. We kind of are, I mean, we go with the association name. We just keep going as an outlaw, which was against so many things, but we had huge races and never had any major issues. And we do live in a pretty cool county. Our county was like, yeah, you guys are outside. You can do what you want. So that was a great thing. There was a few things that I see lacking with some associations, or in a youth department. There's, as a race, like I put on a huge race in May every year. It's a Derby, Futurity, and a 5D Open. We give out 9 saddles. I mean, it's a huge event, but we don't do a whole lot for the youth at that race either. So I kind of wanted to give another option. There's only like 1 or 2 youth races in the state of California that I'm aware of that actually have a big youth program with them. One's Sherry Servy's race they do at Diamond Bar Arena in Ceres. And then the other one is the Ashley Escobar Memorial Race that's held in February at King City. So we wanted to do something differently. And if you want to have an association that's going to thrive, you have to be different and stand out. So really looking at a youth program and building on the open to make it bigger. And as well as for California, we're a little behind with the aged events for the barrel horses. So we're really looking at trying to, ramp that up to keep them going throughout the years.
So good. So you've already got a big vision for scholarships.
Yes.
So tell us just briefly about that. So where Stall High is going to help as much as we can. So hopefully some other people will listen. And like, if you're listening right now and your ear is bending, okay, California area, listen up. So how will this benefit scholarships for kids?
So we actually want to do kind of a multiple platform of a scholarship deal. We have a lot of kids that are college roadie or high school kids that are going into college as well. So, and sometimes parents are needing to be, they need help with their scholarships as well because they're going back to school for something else too. So we're going to try to hit two things. We want to do a youth scholarship, obviously for the kids, but then we also want to be able to have it opened up to any Outlaw member that we can help them out, if they're going to school and they're trying to better themselves, because at the end of the thing, we want everyone to better themselves. So our youth program is going to be, and we're not going to do it as, a lot of scholarships are done on, we've had this traumatic experience, so they always win that, right? We want to know why they deserve that scholarship. And we also want to know what they're going to do with it to make it, to better their lives, or how they can use it to enhance something. So we have a little bit different of a approach instead of going with the saddest story always wins. And one of the people who brought the whole scholarship thing to me, this was what she told me to do, was don't do it as the saddest thing. Make it to where anybody is eligible to receive this scholarship. It doesn't have to be because they had some type of hardship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of yeah.
Well, and you're speaking our language as well. So Stall High, we want to educate, we want to equip, we want to encourage every rider who wants to do better by their horse. Mm-hmm. So it's, even though we have a heart for behavior problems and our specialty is finding the mental attachment. So what emotional damage has been done in a horse, or what event is triggering their memory that's attached to their muscle patterns, attached to that motion and that movement. And we sitting in the saddle, we think, this dumb horse, like, I just don't understand. And what I did was I just ran in circles for years. And if there was a popular barrel racing saddle, if there was a popular approach to the first barrel, if somebody had told me they had a magic bell boot, I would have paid for it. I wanted to be so bad. But it was just futile. It was pointless. And I just kept spiraling down and down and down. All the while, I could not humble myself enough to seek wisdom, to seek training. And the few clinics that I did go to, when I invested in that, I got so excited. Like, I was like, this is my answer. This is my solution. Like, I'm going to fix this horse this weekend. And I ended up driving away with more questions than I got answers. Like, it just made me hungry for more. And now that I've been a clinician, and now that we have Stall High built as a complete mentorship program with a team of trainers every night, I'm learning so much. My journey's not done. Not one person can know everything, but I'm fascinated with the process. And I wish that I had known to seek help sooner, because I say this all the time, but I think it's so true. If you're looking for a quick answer, you're looking for the wrong answer.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Mm-hmm. So
it's dynamic. There's so many layers to just one horse. I don't know how many you have in training. How many do you have right now?
There's about 26.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a busy day.
You have 26 different people basically wearing a horse suit that you're responsible for. So knowing their emotional needs, knowing their physical history, medical history. What are their needs? How do you get them to the next destination? How do you help them reach their fulfillment? It's beyond a full-time job.
Yeah.
And so many trainers are not tapping in. Therefore, riders, general population, there's not just a whole lot of mentors to look to that are considering the mental health. They're still grinding and drilling and crock potting the training. And I feel like we're really selling our horses short by not considering their mental health and what could they achieve if we help them just a little bit with just a little bit more information when we're willing to pursue it. So I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for taking time. I want to ask you a little bit about the lanyap before I share your videos. So this is the lanyap bit. How did you first hear about it? What caught your eye?
I heard about it on I think it was on TikTok, or might have been on Facebook. Like when it originally came out, it was a couple years ago. And I'm one of those people, I like bits. My whole tack room is pretty full and I hoard a lot of really nice bits. So I was like, this kind of has a cool feel to it or look to it. I'm like, it's something different and it's not a twisted. So I was more interested in trying it on like a baby or something that wasn't, they needed a little bit more than a smooth mouthpiece, but they didn't need something twisted or something like that. So that's what caught my eye about it from the get-go. And I actually purchased one for a specific horse, just curious if it'd work better on her because she was a little bit heavy. I got her after she bucked the owner off, and it's a really good horse. I mean, I've won $20,000-$30,000 on her in a year. Really nice mare, and she's one of those she's kind of a freak. So I tried it with her, and in all honesty, it wasn't necessarily her cup of tea. Because she was already taught to kind of brace even more against a bit. Like instead of driving with her back and picking herself up, she was more of like, I'm going to root my head down further. And I was like, okay, well, I had to go to something a little bit stronger with her specifically. So I wasn't sure. Well, then I actually tried it. So this is the kind of funny thing. It's like, someone's like, hey, let me buy the bit. So I let them buy it. And then like 2 weeks later, I had another horse and I'm like, I really wish I had it. So I bought another one. And ever since then, it's been a great go-to bit. Like I use it on some of my futurity babies right when we take them out of a snaffle bit, because I'm huge on snaffle bits and I love running in snaffle bits. But a big thing of what owners have taught me over 12, 13 years now has been their horses aren't broke if they're not in a bit. And it kind of blows my mind about things because I don't look at it that way, because some of my nicest horses that have NCHA earnings, and she's a 5-year-old, she's great in a snaffle. You put a real bit on her and she's kind of like, whatever. But a snaffle bit, she's super soft all the time. So it is a real bit. It's pretty soft, but it still has a snaffle bit feel at times. That's one of the biggest reasons that I've gone back to it. And I really actually like it. So I use it on a good selection of horses, actually. And I have this one gelding who was doing really good. We started entering him, and then all of a sudden during once you added a lot of speed to him, he kind of just was like, this isn't my game. I didn't want to do it. And he's not, the high end breeding of the barrel horse industry these days. And it's one I posted the video and tagged you in on, the little black gelding. And once I started using that, because he was not started with any softness. I mean, you could pull on him as hard as you could, and he was just like, and just kept on going. So it took like 6 months to get him, starting to follow his nose and lobe circles and everything else. But even in a snaffle bit, once you started going, he still didn't have that, he didn't have enough snap. So like I needed something less than a full-on shanked bridle and something more than a snaffle. So I went back to this, and he's actually been working really good. And I've also learned a few other things with this colt in specific, which is, it's sad. It's not sad. You always have to learn with the horse, and some things just don't work on them. You can pull them around, and then after a while they just keep going. They're like, okay, we're just getting pulled. What's the purpose of it? This bit, you can run him up into the barrel. You can get him to stop and soften up, and then just drop your hands and he'll snap back and turn. So this bit, for some reason, he really likes it. And if it's not gonna, he's not screwing anything up doing his style with this bit, so it's like, why change it at this point? So he was great.
You get it, which makes my
Yeah.
heart happy. And you said something a few moments ago. You said it doesn't work as well on horses that are already kind of pushy or disengaged. If they don't
Mhm.
know they have a back end, you're probably not going to like this bit because your horse is already numb.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
wake him up in it, but you have to use it completely different. It's not designed to be a traditional lifter.
Yeah.
It's designed to do exactly what you said. Go in there, remind them, get them on their hocks, and then hand it back. And that's how you get that crisp finish.
Yeah. Well, and so when I posted one of those videos on TikTok with this bit, telling people, you know, they should really have it in their toolbox, even if they don't ride in it, it's a great bit and a great tool to have if you needed it. And a few people would message me asking me about certain things with it, and it's just they have to kind of. Sometimes not everyone understands how a bit concept works, and I personally like it because it has a little bit of lift if you need the lift, but most of the time is their horses are really front endy and just pushing on you at all times. And for me, that's not the style that I personally like of a barrel horse. I like, you know, they're very ratey. The more the rate, the better. I've had to learn to ride the free runners though.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, no, it's a great bit.
God bless you, friend. So you're describing like a huge problem that I could see in the industry. The bit is different. It's not designed to fit like other bits. That's why we made all the videos that explain exactly how to adjust the head stall, where the curb change should be, and why I provide training to go with it. So I even offer a free coaching call with every bit that sells. And I am shocked, like, Lord, at how many people won't take me up on that.
Yeah.
They just assume like, oh, I've been riding for 35 years, or I've been riding for 13 years, or I've been riding for 3 years. I know how to put a bit on a horse. And I see so many riders having success with it. And then I'm floored on a whole new level because I'm like, dear God, what could you accomplish if you had it adjusted just like a quarter of an inch different? Just a quarter of an inch could mean the next D. It literally could. And I'm so excited I've got some of my members here in the Zoom call. Now that we have the mentorship program, there's over 200 hours of digital clinics in the library. People
Awesome.
who want to know, and if they're visual learners, well, they can go watch without having to drive all the way across the country and actually camp out here. And even if they did, it's not practical. I can't possibly share everything there is in Stall High every day in 2 days time, or even a week. If someone came and stayed here a week, you can't possibly cover as much as we already have in the library at Stall High. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and I want you to tell us about this horse. I think this is the one you're talking about that had a little bronchi history.
She wasn't a bronc, she was a Lipizzaner.
All right.
And the sad part, I purchased her because she was crazy. And, you know, she was running in a Johnson Hackmore, and that really doesn't fit with my hands. That's totally a lot of gag, and I'm not a lot of gag action person. So I ran this mare quite a few times and that's what the people had her in. And then I switched her up just because I needed a little bit more. And she would get on the backside, and instead of snapping all the time, she would just kind of lose that impulsion to just drive out of that barrel, and she would kind of get stalled.
Right there. We can see it right there.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is the mare would still clock. And this mare won an awful lot of money. I think she won like $15,000 Equistat earnings on this mare as a futurity horse before she kind of lost her marbles. So we got her back. And when I ended up buying her, she was broke, but not broke as like, you can't lope circles on her. And still to this day, she struggles loping circles. And we did a whole workup on vet work and, you know, $5,000 of everything, you know, find anything wrong with her. And we couldn't find it. So we just had to start training her to actually carry herself better. And go ahead.
You can see the difference. Look.
Oh yeah. I mean, she just kind of goes in with it and just fires out. And she's really a cool mare. She's just not necessarily for the faint of heart. And it's been a game changer for that mare specifically, and actually a couple clients of mine too.
So tell me, what bit were you riding in to make this run?
That was the Johnson hack.
Okay. And so how long after you switched her to Lanyap would you say it was until you made this second run? How
That
many
was 2 weeks.
in Lanyap?
That was 2 weeks.
2 weeks in Lanyap. And so where
Yeah.
was this race and how did she finish?
So this was the first race back at that facility in 13 years, and I put it on there. So I was producing the whole race too, and she ended up, what was she? Bottom of the 1D average, and then right out of the money both days in the 2D, I believe is what it was. But it was a super competitive run. I mean, and after what we had in Vegas going on, which was the first weekend of June, it was a huge improvement, which she was, I mean, she ran, I think, a 15.8 and a 14.7, won it,
Mhm.
but she's really a better horse than that. And it just wasn't the whole get up for my hands and how she runs. The Johnson hack didn't work that great.
Well, and I love that you explained it perfectly. You're having to re-explain to her, or maybe for the first time ever, what spatial awareness is. You're having to teach her about her own body and her mechanics. And so many people will purchase a bit, and I won't just say the Lanyap. Oh, it might be a saddle, it might be a new horse, it might be a fancy therapy product or whatever. And they're just banking on that product to do all of the work for them. But
Yeah.
you're not just relying on Lanyap. You're actually using it as a tool to teach her proper form. And that's
Yeah.
where I see a lot of people just not understanding the mechanics of the situation. And they keep pressing and keep pressing and keep pressing. And that's how we end up doing irreparable mental damage to a horse.
Yeah, well, and like with this mare, the one thing that was great with this bit were the Johnson hack. She would, even though it had a Hackamore or a noseband, she would, her ammo is when you're going into the gate, she will lunge. I mean, at my own facility, we had to announce clear the alleyway in between, you know, the arena and the warm-up pen, because one big race we had, it was like a $10,000 added race we put on, and there was like 400 entries, and it was a one-day race. And there's a group of people, how my arena sits, you go from my huge cutting pen to my arena, and it's only, you know, a 50-foot, 75-foot walkway, but people want to always gather around there. This mare went through about 30 people just leaping in the air, plowing them down to the ground, and just kept on going. I mean, and I'm not a weak person. I could not stop her with that bit either. And when she decided to check out and leave, she was going.
Uh-huh.
So,
And so
I
you
mean,
have more control with Lanyap.
Yeah, so that bit, the Lanyap actually has the stop that she requires when she wants to kind of just be like, bye, and just check out.
Uh-huh.
So,
I'm so glad.
safety-wise.
Okay, so tell us about Jill.
Okay, Jill's a good client of mine. She rides an awesome little mare. She's a reiner, has a little bit of NRHA earnings, and she was a little bit on the hotter side, so she was sold to make a barrel horse. Great little horse, actually. I ran her for the first time, I think 2 weeks ago, and I ran her in a different bit, but during the run, I'm like, she kind of just got a little strong on, it was a Ed Wright short shank, and she just got a little bit strong on it once I turned the first barrel. And I want them to kind of come back and soften up and snap at that second barrel more. And well, we tripped because we were really hauling butt. And we recovered. It just, when we recovered, it wasn't the same as she should have been quicker to recover and get around in that video. So when I brought her back home and, you know, I worked on her first barrel to tighten it up, I switched her over to the Lanyap because Jill can get a little handsy at times when she runs. And she's new. She's only been running barrels for a couple of years, and she's doing a great job.
Great.
So we helped her out with this, and so actually this day, she hasn't rode her horse until that day. She got on the horse and I said, just ride her to the barrel, put your hand there, and ask her to come around. And this was the run, and she was a half a second faster than she's ever been at my arena. And that is in the lane.
In the Lanyap.
Yeah.
So this is her first run in the Lanyap.
Yeah, that was her first run ever with that bit, because she
Cool.
ran finals. She kind of changed the bit to a sliding gag bit at finals. And I mean, she just blew the turns. She won $3,000 winning the 40, but this mare has way more talent and way more capabilities. It needed just a little bit more to come back. And the Lanyap, you know, if she gets handsy, she can still hold her and it doesn't really scare the mare.
Yes.
and she help her out to get to where she needed to go. And I
So
I
good.
video for finals too.
Well, Devin, this has been awesome. I'm going to kind of switch into my review my rides video analysis, but thank you so much for taking time to join us today. I know you have horses to work. Let me
No problem.
share my screen real quick, just to say thank you again. I'm
no
excited
problem.
for your race. So if people want to follow you more and they want to know about your race, where do they go?
They can go to outlawbarrelraces.com, or they can go to Outlaw Barrel Races on Facebook. And a lot of the races we produce are under DWPH, which is DW Performance Horses.
Okay. And guys,
And
if you can't remember all that, just reach out to us at Stall High and we'll connect you with Devin. And so Devin, you're welcome to stay on with us. I'm just going to go through some reviews. If you have to go, I completely understand, but you're awesome. And I'm just so thankful to have a skilled horseman using Lagniappe and promoting. And when you made your TikTok the other day, you're like, I am not a Stall High sponsored rider. Let me tell you why you need this bit. I was like, oh, thank you. That was
Right.
so kind. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And
All
thank you for
right.
making
Well, thanks. All right, guys, I'm going to switch back. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk a little bit about Mindy. Lori, if anybody's here today, let me know. So this was Mindy.
We have
Two-
Jen and Bailey.
Okay, Jen and Bailey are here. So here's a before run. I want y'all to see the difference. So here's one of our riders at Stall High. She's in the full mentorship program, guys. And she's riding a unicorn. Paint is like our Stall High mascot unicorn. This mare is amazing and loves her mama. They were having some conflict going fast. Now, this was just last weekend in Ardmore. And to see the difference, to see how much speed they're gaining, how much smoother it is. Mindy sent this video, and it's, even though she clips the third barrel, she said, I had so much fun because she feels confident. She feels in time and in rhythm with her horse. This is her husband, Martin, who's also part of our mentorship program. And he rides a very rady, very turny horse. So watch this horse. This is several months back. Very nice run. Y'all check this out. And they have every bit we make. They've got Lagniappe, a little bit extra, a little bit of balance, and a little bit of love in their trailer. So you can see this horse is scatty and catty, right? Martin comes to class. He watches with Mindy and he watches the replays. Look at the difference in this horse within just a few months, just attending class online. Look how much harder this horse is running and not losing time on the backside. So people who say are still like stuck, like 30 years ago, like, oh, well, I want to come learn in person. Well, granted, you could do that. However, just do the math. So think about how much fuel you're going to spend. Think about how much time you're going to have to take off. Think about coordinating. Like by the time you coordinate with a trainer, it doesn't have to be me, but you get to a professional trainer who can help you start to scratch the surface, because you're going to have to go back. Understanding your horse is a process. Education is a process, both for us and our horses. When you really do the math and add it up, learning online is so much more affordable and it's so much more convenient. It's liberating. And that's what these these riders are taking advantage of. So I love sharing the results. I'm so happy for Mindy and her husband, Martin. It's just fun to watch the progress. This is another story. So Gracie just joined our program. She's been in a little bit over a week. This is her 7-year-old mare, has never walked up to her in the pasture since she's owned her. We talk about mental health for horses. Here's the proof, guys. It is so important. We all want a good relationship with our horse. But when we're not getting it, when there's friction, when you have vetted, you've had chiropractic done, you've bought all the fancy supplements and the fancy feed and the fancy products, and your horse hates you or appears to, what then? We want to help you. We have answers, and we're going to help you start to see things in a new light so that you can consider the mental health of your horse and how it's being grossly overlooked by traditional training. Okay, so
Joni's with us.
hey, Joni, you made it. So tell us about this run, my dear. This was Saturday or Sunday? Are you a place you can talk, Joni?
Hey, can you hear me?
There you are. Yeah, tell us about this
Okay.
run.
I had to run outside real quick. This was not last Saturday, the Saturday before, I think. And
Okay.
she's not real sure about turning that right barrel after we had her worked on the back end. So that's why
Okay.
we just kind of Cadillac'd in there. And then
Okay.
after that, I gave her the reins and let her go. And I mean, I didn't have to check her. She turned the second one all on her own. We used to blow out real wide off the second, like almost back to the first one before we headed to the third. And then the third one was my fault. We bumped it because I did kind of like, whoa, you need to slow up and turn. So I messed her up on her third when she was doing exactly what she was supposed to. But I don't know. She's just so light now with that bit.
I'm
But
so glad. So tonight in class, we're going to go over this again. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
what I'm ready to challenge, what I want you to do next, like your next steps, because I can see right here, you're riding on the saddle.
Yeah.
You're on the saddle, you're on the horse, but you're not in that saddle.
No.
So I want to start helping you understand that cohesive feel in your sit bones. Okay.
Mhm.
So that you can let her speed up. Something fell out in conversation the other day, and I was like, whoa, where has that been? Like, why haven't I understood that until now? So when a horse feels tension, and depending on the horse, it depends on how much tension or pressure. But when they feel a movement, when they feel a muscle close or clamp or tighten or move away, they react to that. If they
Right.
sense pressure, a lot of horses will not press through. They won't push through that. So they have to have very clear permission to move forward. So I believe that's why she's traveling kind of apprehensive right now. A lot of horses,
Right.
like Ron explains, will just trigger that flight reflex and they'll scramble out from under you. And then you're constantly trying to get them back. So we don't want that. But I believe that when you feel it and you're getting so close, Joni, when you start to really secure those sit bones in, it's going to make all the difference. Right now, I feel like it's not really clear to her. She's reading your mind, but she can't really hear your sit bones. So these turns are about to get even better. So right here, I caught you. Let's look at where your leg goes.
And I feel like my stirrups could be ticked up some more. For
See
sure.
where your leg went? As soon as your leg gets behind you, your torso comes forward, and just as a
Right.
natural, physics, it's just going to happen. You don't have the same security, the same balance. It's going to cause you to be heavier handed on the rein, which is her mouth, attached to her mouth. And that's when we start to get them to resist. So Devin was talking about that real sharp, tight, crisp feel leaving a turn. She can do that too, and we'll get her there. Let me think on which clinic to go back and rewatch again. Are you watching the Pedro and the Gray Mare series?
No, I've been watching them in order, and I think I just started like the Bits series.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. All right. When you get to Pedro and you get to Gray Mare, so in the beginning, we were labeling all of those Zooms like Pedro and Gray Mare, day 2, Pedro and Gray Mare, day 3, Pedro and Gray Mare. Oh my God, there's your visual. So that's how you're going to make that next step. And that's how you're going to get her to come in and really secure her hips, listen to your hips, and then not have that. There's just a soft delay as she's leaving every barrel. So right here, we're going to clean that up. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited to see where you can be with her 30 days.
I'm very
from-
excited. And you talk about her being real, like, how much a horse can tell through your body. This mare ran over to me the other day. Most horses, they get a horse fly on their rear end. They'll fix it, do whatever. She about ran me over, threw her butt at me to like get that horse fly right there. As soon as I got it, she walked off like, I'm good, thanks. She's very light and touchy with everything.
It's
Very
awesome to have a
sensitive.
friendship with the horse. I haven't always
Mhm.
been friends with my horses. It's
Right.
hard. Some horses don't have that personality, and when it's a business and it's a performance and you need results, you don't always get to develop that bond. But when you do, that's what fairy tales are made of. Those are like real life fairy
Yes.
tales.
Yes. And I have
So-
friends telling me maybe she needs a spanking on that first barrel. I'm like, no, she does not.
No,
No.
that would
Yeah,
do
no.
so much damage to her. Yeah.
I know.
It's not she's not defying you. She's not willingly trying to defy. I think she has honest questions and she's looking to you for more clear direction, which
Right.
will make so much more sense when you can see it on that roan horse out there and that gray mare, because I'm going to show you exactly what to do with your hands, exactly what to do with your seat, exactly where your knees should be, where your feet should be. You're going to know exactly where to land every day at every barrel. You're going to know how to monitor all four corners, so all four hoofs in motion. And you're going to be able to really explain to her in a new level of clarity that, quite frankly, I didn't get to deep dive. When we did Ride with Confidence, the first clinic, that was an introduction. That wasn't the deep dive. But when you get into those next videos with Pedro and the gray mare, it's a deep dive and you'll see it broken down every single day, how to explain every single step they should take around the barrel. So I'm excited for her, very excited, and happy you're here today and being willing to let me share your progress. Jennifer, are you still with us?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for hanging in. So,
Oh, I don't even want to watch this.
okay. Here we go. Here comes Mama Kendra. You sent this video in an email and I'm like, did she send me the wrong video? Because she's describing like issues and I see an amazing run.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just being stupid. Not stupid, but
Hard
Saturday.
to tell.
Yeah, I think so. Saturday, I took my 3-year-old with just to see the sights.
Mhm.
And that day, Fokker, like, he was wound up tighter than I don't know what. Like, I loaded him and I'm like, something's off. Something's
Okay.
kind of weird, but I'm like, okay, just chill out, mellow out. Saddle him up early, and I just rode out kind of far back. There's like a big open field. Like, I'll just test ride you, kind of feel you out. He was just tight, like wound up. Like, honest to God, Kendra, if you would have seen his neck here, it looked like you gave him an injection and he had a reaction. He was so tense. And I'm like, you know what? I drove an hour and a half. I'm going to go and cancel. Like James said, if you have no control at the trailer, how are you going to have control in that freaking arena? So waddled my tail feathers over there, canceled. And they're like, why are you canceling? I said, because I've been told to. Well, not told to, but I said, this is what needs to be done. Drove all the way back home. Was pissed, but whatever. So the next day he was still wound up. And I'm like, okay, just calm down, mellow out a little. And he wasn't as bad. I maybe should have still pulled him, but I ran anyways. And I kind of rode like a banana head, but that's my story.
Okay. I'm going to rewind and I'm just going to praise you and I'm going to say thank you because you just displayed stewardship. I don't know if people were really paying attention to that. So our equine behavior specialist, James Davison, he's our coach every Wednesday. Okay. He explains if they're not ready, don't put them under the microscope. Don't enter them because you are taking a tremendous risk. And then you're going to run around chasing your tail So one run, if you did 10 months of damage and set you back 10 months, it's not worth it. Or if you did one run, like Devin said earlier, and you injure your horse and you have a $2,000 or a $10,000 vet bill, that doesn't make sense. That is not wisdom. That's not good judgment. That's not good stewardship. So I'm so proud of you for reading him and saying, you know what? I drove all the way here. I'm out gas money and I'm out time, but it's actually going to be a bigger loss if I continue just for the fun of it, because your horse would not have had fun. Woody, do you agree with me?
God, no. Oh, no. And you know what? I had 2 people come up and been like, well, why didn't you ride him? Like, you drove all the way here. Why didn't you ride him? And I'm like, because, like, I had other choice words for them, but yeah. But I'm like, there you go. There you go. Like,
Well, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. He is massive. He is explosive. You have an incredibly powerful horse, and he's a runner, and he's also touchy. So the ability for you to just ride him quiet, that is an art. Okay. Not everybody can do that. You're making it look easier than it actually is. I know you probably wanted to let him go a little bit more. Would you say you
Yeah.
didn't have full trust here, and you're kind of just
no,
keeping him
I
on
was, yeah, I checked him. And I'm like, oh, like, leave his mouth alone. Leave his darn mouth alone, you know? But yeah, like, I didn't want to let him go too much just because he was still a little, yeah, but.
Okay. So what do you see right here? It just so happened to land on that screenshot.
Oh, that, yeah. I sat too soon. He quit right there on me. Yeah.
Okay. And it unseated you.
Oh, yeah. I rode, like I said, I rode like a banana head. I was not impressed with myself at all, but.
It's gonna happen. It happens to everyone. It
Oh,
happens
yeah.
to everyone. You are going to be unseated, guys. The stronger, the faster the horse, the more powerful, the more turbulence you're going to feel. So the more awareness and the more skill that you can develop, right? And
Mhm.
really understanding, and that's what we're learning now at Stall High, our own muscular system, how our own bodies and frames, like where the glitches are, where the hangups are that, quite frankly, we've never really cared about or paid attention to, but we care about our horses. So now we're starting to really investigate, maybe all along I thought it was this other problem, but it's really inside me and I wasn't even aware of it. So this is one thing I think we can set as a goal. At this one mark, here's your visual. The next time you ride, I want to think like melted glue. So just adhere the sit bones to the bottom of the saddle and just melt. I also see one more thing at this turn. Watch your torso right there.
Well, yeah, just whiplash back, okay?
Yeah,
That core and
right
strong.
there. So
Yeah.
you're already behind him, and I
Yeah.
want you to be ready for it and not
Yeah.
tense, soft, but ready. So you're going to be in a more prepared position. And when your body isn't quite as rigid, because see, he felt a bounce and then he felt the weight of your torso go back. So in his mind, he's trying to calculate all that.
For sure.
And his body is a reflection of that. So did y'all salvage it? Yes. Can we make progress? Yes. And we'll do it just with those 2 simple things. I also caught you leaving it. You're just a little bit tense.
Yeah.
Okay, right there.
There. Oh, look at that. Oh,
I want to bring the torso up so that you leave with him and he doesn't leave and have to wait on you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Our homework. We can talk more about this in class tonight if you want to.
well, I won't be in class tonight. I'm working, so
Okay.
that's okay. Don't worry about
I'm
that.
glad you made it. I'm glad you made it tonight. Super proud of you though. I mean, this is like night and day. You really are a poster child for Stall High, because these are like drastic results from what you first sent in when you first reached out for one video analysis, one review my ride video analysis. I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be like a year. Like we're looking at a year of correction. And you just like you changed your horse overnight. It's crazy. Very proud of you.
Well, and I was so bummed too because the last video I sent you, not this one, but the last one, he
Mm-hmm.
was so calm. Yeah, you could have gave him a tranquilizer. Like, he was just a total different horse. He was so calm. And then when I went to this one, he was wound up tighter than tight. And I'm like, I want that other horse back. Like, what changed? Like, I did nothing. I was frustrated. Like, I was really like,
And that is a question for James Davison.
yeah. So I'm hoping I'll be
Quite
there.
frankly,
Not-
I don't feel educated or experienced enough to answer that as well as he can. And that's
Yeah.
why we look to James. When there are questions like that that are just like, they seem so vague, he's our go-to guy. So I'm excited for tomorrow night to get here so we can hear his answer on that.
Okay.
All right, let me speed up real quick. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Bailey, you're new.
I'm super new.
Hi. So how'd you
Hi.
find out about Stall Hive? How did you send me your video?
TikTok, honestly. I just kind of was scrolling through TikTok last night and I had like 3 of your videos in a row pop up. And so I started, obviously investigating more into it. And that's how I reached out to you last night, I guess. And here I am.
All right, so welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to watch your video and I want you to tell me, even though we haven't done a lot of instruction today, but just because you've been patient, you've been awesome to sit here. You've been in here for an hour and we're going to try to wrap this up really quick. I
Sure.
want you to just tell me if you can already identify things. And after you listen to did you listen to the review I sent back?
No, I didn't even know you sent
Sent
me
it back
one.
yet? Okay. All right. So you are new. So tell me if you can self-identify anything before I talk about it.
Oh, okay. So the second barrel is our issue barrel for sure. And I'm grabbing, I'm pulling on her face, I'm yanking on it. And I think it's the same thing as my third barrel. I'm just pulling and I'm yanking. And I don't know if it's just like a panic thing with me that I'm like, oh my gosh, like we got to turn and I'm not just letting her work
Mhm.
or what it is, but I know I'm heavy on the hands for sure, 100%.
So you feel like you have to, but you don't want to.
100%. And I mentally tell myself like, no, don't touch her. But I do. And I'm pulling on her and I feel bad. And I just like, cause I know that if I would probably just leave her alone, she would just do it on her own. But of course I'm doing the
Okay,
work for her. I'm trying to say.
I'm really excited to go through this review. I'm going to go really fast right now, and then we can follow up in class, and hopefully you want to continue with this. So right
Sure.
now I can already see she's bracing on you. Her neck is just stiff as the board.
Yep.
Okay. Her shoulders starting to drop down. Her hindquarters are more elevated. Look at the tension in your rein.
100%. I'm
So
pulling. Yeah,
where is she feeling the most pressure from you right
like
now?
on the inside rein, I'm pulling back basically.
Yes. So before you ever start your turn, you're already not trusting her and she's already not trusting you.
Yeah.
So this is not a good combination. This is not a good place to start a successful turn. The success of your turn is always determined on the beginning. So how well you finish it depends on how well you start it. And you guys are already starting off resenting each other.
Yep.
So regardless of who started the argument, it started because of lack of information. So I believe if she started this first, it was because she did not understand how to use her frame. She maybe didn't understand, maybe she wasn't taught spatial awareness. Maybe she doesn't realize how her body should work or could work so that her job is easier. So right now, what this makes me think of, she would be somebody brand new to the gym, like they just bought their gym membership, but they think they're gonna get in shape real fast, and they're just gonna walk over. They don't hire a personal trainer. They just walk over and just start lifting weights.
Yeah.
Without ever being taught, well, they're gonna shred their back. They're gonna do more harm. They're gonna injure themselves. And that's what she's doing right now. So she's just trying to get this barrel over with as fast as possible. and she's actually causing herself a lot more stress, and she's putting stress physically on her frame, where if she just has a different way. So I believe that when we actually provide the information so that she's like, you know what, that didn't make sense to me. Like how old is this mare?
She's 14.
That didn't make sense to me for the last 12 years. But now I totally understand what you say. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, then she can be trusted for you to relax the rein and let her turn. But right now, I don't believe she really has a clear plan of what to do with her body. And therefore, she resents it before you ever get there. And you feel like you don't have control. So you need to do something to get that control.
Yeah.
So
100%.
one thing right here, right there. So see where she's pulling on that tie down?
Yep.
Mouth is about to gap open. That's all there. See where it is. I don't know if my videos can go slow enough. Right in there. Right there. So we start to see the mouth gap. Again, so not only did you have pressure on the inside rein, now you've got pressure on the outside rein. So it's too much for her, and she's just trying to get away. So she's explosive and she's trying to escape the pressure. So if you're interested in learning the process, and actually will invest the time, you don't have to drive to Aubrey, Texas. That's expensive.
From North Dakota,
Just open your phone and watch the online clinics when you have time. Like, we make it super easy and very affordable. You'll start to see, like I was talking with Joni, you'll see exactly where to place her, exactly how much time, like what to watch for. Really pay attention to her 4 feet. And I shared a video last night about a real itchy horse. Like, he's just impatient. He's just all over the place. That's not his personality and that's not his norm. But something triggered him. And it took a lot to get him back down mentally, in a mentally good space. So I would love to help you. We're going to do some tack adjustments. I would definitely reconsider your stirrup length, the rein length, potentially the bit choice. Just because she's a little bit stoic. She's a lot stoic. She's rigid and she's explosive. So how does that sound to you?
Yeah, sure. How do I do it? How do I sign up?
So you've already texted me. So I'm going to text you back some information so that you can join class tonight. We'll get you in there, and I'll explain everything. I'll send videos. If anybody's watching right now and you're like, okay, I want help with my horse, Kendra, what are you saying? Well, message me or email us, info@stallhigh.com. I'll explain how the online mentorship program works, how you'll have access to over 200 hours of step-by-step visual instructions. You replay when it's convenient for you, and you replay as often as you need to, so that you can see and know exactly what's going on with your horse mentally, so that we can solve the problems. So I sound like a broken record, but when your horse has a clean bill of health and still isn't working, come to Stall High. That's our specialty. We want to help you uncover the root issues. Bailey, you're a doll. I'm so glad you made it today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. This is a rider named Brittany. If she's here, let me know, Lori. If not, I'm just going to zip through this one really fast.
Yeah, no, that's all that's here.
So there's a tight grip on this mare from the alley. This is a real soft, free, easy running mare, but you can see Brittany's running kind of tight. So you can see tension in her shoulders, and I can tell that her hands are real close together on those reins. When we do that, a horse feels restricted. That's not collection, guys. That is restriction. Okay, so you're going to see some turbulence on the backside of the barrels. And again, this horse just kind of hangs. This rider reached out initially for Review My Ride video analysis. So what we want to do is shave off that delay. This horse needs to have a better comprehension of how her body works. I talk about spatial awareness all the time. Yes, they have a back end, but traditional barrel racing only focuses on the saddle horn forward. everybody talks about, oh yeah, I'm going to build the hindquarters. I'm going to work on the hindquarters. I'm going to work on the hindquarters. And then they go run and those horses are not engaged in the hindquarters. So I don't believe they're really evaluating that enough. So to truly be engaged in the hindquarters, that has to be taught in a very slow process. So I'm excited to help this rider and this horse even more because this mare's young. And you can see she's just got a ton of potential. And I definitely don't want anybody to get stuck in the same rut that I did and waste years and potentially millions of dollars doing things the hard way. Love this rider right here. Teenage rider named Ariel. You can tell that she wants to win. She's got a lot of ambition right now. I sent her review back to her yesterday. Watch the torso leaving. So when we can help Ariel start to secure her torso, that alone will make a huge difference in how her horse responds to her. All right, I think I may have one more run in here and then we'll call it a wraps. Thanks for hanging in here with me. Big time horse, big motor, big stride, steady. So this is the kind of horse Devin was explaining. Whole lot of horse right here. You've got to be real careful with your hands, guys. Timing is so necessary. And when a horse becomes pushy and they've got that much power behind them, you're not going to win that battle. Even Devin, would you agree with that? You're 6'4". I know you have a lot more upper body strength than I do. But once they want to fight, it's very hard to get them back. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, once you start pulling on them, it's a losing battle.
Mhm.
So like this one thing that I was taught and it resonates with me since I was a little kid. And it's actually a funny saying. So I was always taught, the horse stopped with the jerk and the jerk fell off. So if you think about it, like if you jerk your horse, because it was one of the things I probably did a lot when I was a kid, as a cutter, you're like, oh, we're going to trainer school them and snap them really fast. So a really good friend of mine always told me the horse stopped with the jerk and the jerk fell off. So it's one thing you'll really think about. You're not going to pull on the horse's mouth to stop. Same thing with the barrel.
Right. So you're not going to pull on the horse's mouth to get him to stop.
Mm-mm.
A lot of people, like, that's going to stump people. You could think about that one statement for 20 years.
Yeah.
Really digest that and really marinate it, and it will help you as a horseman. You'll start to see the difference when you take the time to pay attention. You really don't have to spend a lot of money, guys, but you do have to pay something. And that word is attention. Pay attention to your horse. Your horse is talking. They don't speak English, but they do communicate with their body language. So if they are healthy, if you have a clean bill of health, you've ruled out pain, and dysfunction, you've ruled out a physical problem, but your horse is not responding to you. Your horse is defiant. You know your horse could do better. You feel like you've plateaued and you don't know how to get to the next level. Reach out to us, info@stallhigh.com. We want to get you plugged into our online training system so you can see the clinics for yourself and you can ask an expert 5 nights a week in our mentor program. If you only want to talk to one, you can pick your pro. Pick one coach per week. Then we can absolutely get you enrolled in that as well. And it is super affordable when you do the math. And like Jen shared earlier, once she got in and realized how much better she could ride this horse, Jen, I don't know if you're still here, if you had to go, definite return on her time, definite return on her investment, rather than getting sucked into, well, maybe it's a new saddle. Well, maybe it's a new approach. Well, maybe it's a new clinic. Well, maybe it's a new bit. Well, maybe it's a new tie down. Well, maybe it's new bell boots. Well, maybe it's this new supplement. Well, maybe it's this new calming pace. Well, I need to switch feeds. That's a vicious cycle. And I fell in it, and I want to keep you from it. I want to prevent you from falling into that vicious cycle and see the problem with its mental root so that we can save you hardship and most of all, save your horse from the heartache and the pain as well. Lori, thanks for hanging in with me. There's Lori Ross.
Welcome. Hi.
Anything else I missed? What did I miss?
I don't think so.
Well, that's
I think
Westware.
I was gonna mention the text number. You can email us, like she said, at info@sawhigh, or you can text us at 940-291-9090 if you have any questions.
And today is brought to you by the Lagniappe Bit. So if anybody wants to buy Lagniappe Bit, go to shopstallhigh.com. Or if you are in the Florida area, you probably don't want to go right now with all the rain and hurricane coming in. We're praying for you guys in Florida. When the weather permits, our bits are actually in Eli's Western Wear. So if you know Eli's, if you're from Florida, I want you to go in there and say hello to our friends at Eli's Western Wear and thank them for being the first brick and mortar store partner for the Lagniappe Bit. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Devin, you're amazing. I can't wait to actually meet you in person. So whether I'm in California or you're in Texas, let's make sure our paths cross at some point.
We definitely will.
Okay, thanks
Thank you.
everybody. Y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.